Welcome back, everybody. We have got another podcast. Blimey, it's like we have one a week, don't we? But yeah, strange that. But of course, we're back. Unfortunately, no special guest this time because we're going to be looking ahead a bit into the actual F1 season that's going to be coming up. But we've got Sean Meek, the Ginger Rage. Of course, is he's living in luxury still. He hasn't moved from his island, so he's still having a great time over there.
Literally not. I haven't even changed my pants.
Well, okay, that tropical island's going to become one of those sort of waste disposal areas soon. Then, just one of those like landfill sites. So, but anyway, skipping off from that. Yeah, how have you been? You been all right?
Oh, not been too bad. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, not too bad. Just having a fun week as usual. But yeah, just cracking on with life. But yeah, I think we need to talk about more racing stuff really, rather than us because we're pretty boring. Well, I'm pretty boring anyway. I don't know about you. So,
I'm
yeah,
a simple man.
you're a simple man there.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, I could say many things about that, but yeah, there we go. I'll carry on. Um, we'll start off with obviously the HD recap. We had round 9 in the HD season, which was an interesting one. It was another street circuit, so another one of your favourites. It was Baku in Azerbaijan, of course, the old European Grand Prix. You'll have to explain that to me how it worked. But yeah, what do you think of Baku as a racetrack to start with? Of course, we had back-to-back street tracks with Monaco being round 8 as well, and then yeah, what's your thoughts? I know you have the reasoning, or you know something about why it was called the European Grand Prix, or why it's changed now. I don't know, but yeah, fill us in with you, Sean.
I'm going to be honest, I don't actually know. It just really
Oh,
annoys me. I used to mention it on stream quite a lot how it was called the European Grand Prix for some reason in 2016, and then they changed it to Azerbaijan in 2017. No idea why. I think that I don't know if Azerbaijan's in Europe. I think technically it is because it's in the Euros. That's my logic anyway.
makes sense.
That's
Are
how
they
I
in
roll.
Europe? No, are they in Eurovision? That's how you judge whether they're in Europe or not. Because Australia's in Eurovision, and they're definitely worth it. So,
Exactly. Are they in Eurovision?
we'll have to find out. I think Eurovision's in May. We'll have to wait and see until May. Sorry, guys. We'll give it a couple of
Oh,
months and we'll let you know. But anyway,
I'm never
yeah,
going to watch
it was
that.
strange. Yeah, it was it was strange having the. Well, I said when it originally came to the calendar. I think it was 2015, 2014.
16.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Well, I can't remember then. I must be getting my days mixed up. But yeah, when it originally came to the calendar, of course, for real F1, it was the European Grand Prix, and then a couple of seasons after, it decided to change itself back to more just to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which makes a bit more sense. But it'd be nice if we had another European Grand Prix, just somewhere in Europe, obviously. Would be good. Maybe something in Germany potentially. Um, Wink, wink. Any German people listening, you have to
Is that
lobby
a
for a German Grand Prix quickly.
is that a little nudge about the rumours going around today about is it in Hockenheim like apparently meant to be on the September slot of the calendar?
Yeah, so I saw obviously with the empty slot now, I saw that potentially there was some rumours going around that Hockenheim could. I think it would just be for this season, unfortunately,
Yeah.
potentially. But yeah, I think they might. Well, it was a rumor that they would fill in for that September slot. But then again, it'd be nice if we had more available slots. To be fair, because I think Turkey, and that sort of thing coming back would be good as well. There were rumours about Malaysia coming back as well at one point. We've seen their sort of Instagram post or tweet, I think it was, but with some sort of winky eyes
Yeah.
as
Buggers.
around this. There's a picture of the Sepang circuit. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that coming back. Obviously, Hockenheim's a great track as well to race on, as we have done in previous games, but also to watch as well. I think it's pretty good racing as well in terms of actual F1. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that coming back. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Hockenheim potentially coming back?
I'd love to see it mainly because 2018 and 19 was some
Mm.
doozy of Grand Prix, wasn't it? I think the rain did help it, to be fair. I mean, but
Yeah, that Mercedes. What was it? Was it? I can't remember what the celebration was now. but it was that Mercedes sort of celebration weekend, wasn't it, where they changed the front wing to a white front wing, and didn't go well for them, did it? So
was it 125 euros or something? It was something like that, wasn't it? But
yeah, it was something like that, 100 years or 125, something like that. But yeah, I think it definitely went downhill, and the desk for Toto was definitely worse for wear after the race, wasn't it, as well, with all those slams. but yeah, so like I said, we've had a little bit of the rumours coming around about Hockenheim potentially sort of replacing the empty slot in end of September, isn't it? I think, well, just about the end of September, where Russia used to be. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, it would be an entertaining Grand Prix. It'd be nice if they had the old layout as well back, but when they go through the forest. But
I think it is forest now, isn't it?
Hey,
I think it is forest now, isn't it? The track's completely
I think
gone.
the track's probably probably disappeared. But yeah, if they can remake that, just knock a few trees down. We don't care about the green stuff, do we?
Oh, definitely not. Don't
Not
tell my
when we go
forester friends that,
we
though.
go motor racing first. That's the most important thing. We go motor racing. But yeah, getting back to the original topic, which was Baku, because we completely got off of that. Bit of a side quest on that one to Hockenheim, but yeah, like I said, we'll see. Obviously, what happens with that. If there's any news, we'll bring it to the next podcast potentially. But yeah, so Baku, you had your race round Baku as well in Division 6 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I can't remember how it went for you, but how did it go for you?
Qualifying was good. It's a shame the race was only it's a shame if the race was like 3 laps long, I would have been loving life, but unfortunately that's not the case.
Right, okay. So you
Yes.
needed a red flag after lap 3, well, at the end of
Yeah.
lap 3, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I needed a spa kind of deluge. I think it was raining in Division 6 all the way through the race as well, which absolutely deflated me. I think it also did the same in Division 1 as well. And we had a horrific incident in Division 7, didn't we, where Cortex absolutely went flying, didn't he? And unfortunately took out the new driver for, I think he's in Division 7, Swift Vortex, unfortunately. A huge accident at the end of turn 16. And Division 1, I must admit, I'm struggling to remember Division 1, but I think that's probably because I've had no chocolate for 2 days. But
he's been deprived. Somebody get this man chocolate.
All I remember is there was a big old smash towards the end there, and Gurman, I think, threw on some tire. I think he went all the way through to the end on intermediate tires, which was an absolute. It was a cracking attempt there from Gurman. It's quite nice to see him back at the top because he's had such a horrific championship defence, hasn't he, of his crown. But yeah, it's there's the next couple of tracks where I'm really interested in because as history shows, Gurman very much gets on the horse around this time of the season, especially in the mid-season, like France and onwards, is where we really see Gurman take off.
Yeah, like I said, I think just going back to the Azerbaijan race from Division 1 as well. Obviously, like I said, it was touch and go with the safety cars and that. What the strategy was going to be. I mean, you probably can, like Gurman did, do a no stop round there. Just about, I think. I think probably towards the end, those tyres were or Jeff was probably saying, "You need to box now. You need to box now." Every lap, probably. But yeah, I think. To be fair, unfortunately, I think he got wing damage just slightly on the last couple of laps, and I think otherwise he probably would have been able to keep a podium even, or maybe top 5 still, which would be a fantastic result for a no stop round there, especially when other people obviously had pitted as well for fresher tyres. So yeah, going around Baku as I've done it in the past as well. In the wet is no easy feat. It's not very easy in the dry, is it? But
No.
yeah, so racing around there is in the wet is absolutely incredibly difficult. So, like I said, for yourself, who didn't have a great race, I suppose, but for yourself, finishing the race nonetheless is a fantastic feat. So well done, Sean. Congratulations to you. You're the champion for Baku. For all 7
should have been driver today. Couldn't believe it. Not one vote.
It's rigged. It's been manipulated, man. Come on.
It's manipulated.
It's manipulated, man.
I know Lewis is moaning about that. Gosh, I can't believe it. Don't worry.
Well, we'll get on to some developments from that in a minute, but yeah. So I think, like I said, for all divisions, I think, like I said, it is a very technical circuit. At the same time, it's a very incident-prone circuit as well, because although it's lots of straights, that sector 2 is incredibly difficult, and you need to set the car up to basically be able to handle both, because you've got obviously the straight line speed that you need down the main straight, for example, and through the sort of end to the lap and the beginning of the lap, of course. But then through the middle of the lap, you're literally having to thread it through for the tightest corners, some of the tightest corners on the calendar, really, as well, in terms of the castle section, which I had a bit of a problem with in Division 2. Well, it wasn't my fault. Somebody decided to go into the castle section ahead of me, and there was a wall there in the part that they were trying to go for, and then it didn't ghost and collected myself. So
was it Geordie Box Tower?
No comment.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah, it was.
Sorry,
very
Geordie.
Unlucky. It was very unlucky from Geordie. No, it was literally he clipped the wall, and that just sort of bounced the car off, which it does around there, obviously. So yeah, and unfortunately there was a little reserve behind him who decided to go in. Well, didn't have a choice really. Had to go into the back of him, and that was the end of the race. But it was going pretty well from there on. Well, before then, but yeah, after that, that was it. I was out of the race, but yeah, like I said, it's got the technical parts, and then you've got the very sort of, well, the straights basically, where obviously most of the overtaking is done. I did see a few actual overtakes through some of the sort of lead up to the castle section as well, which was quite nice. Some very good overtakes from all the divisions through there as well, to be fair. But I think as well, obviously we had a few incidents and things like that, which we're expecting around Baku, obviously, because it is that nature of a circuit. But overall, I think all divisions did really well, including yourself as well. I think you did the best.
Of course.
Because if we don't talk nice to Sean, especially when he hasn't had his chocolate, he gets very moody with me. So
yes, indeed.
So yeah, if you ever come across Sean, make sure you got a bit of chocolate on you, so you can give him a bit of chocolate. So I've never given you a bit of chocolate.
Yes, you have.
Oh, I have. Sorry, I'm giving you a whole bar of chocolate. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I've got it as my wallpaper as well.
You what? How? Oh, use your picture. I thought you've just taken the box of the chocolate and put it on the wall.
Just smeared it everywhere.
That's a waste.
Yeah, I would never do that. That's just a waste of food.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said, obviously we've done Baku now, round 9. We're actually quite far away through the season. It's sort of flown by, hasn't it, as well? But of course we've got Canada next up, which usually sort of routinely follows Baku as well. Quite a weird switch, because they literally just fling us over from one side of Europe to Canada over the pond. But yeah, interesting way they've done it there in terms of the format of the calendar. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good race, of course, and hopefully you have great luck in your race as well and win. So yeah, I'm sure you'll get driver of the day in that one as well. Don't worry.
I better. Also, this week there's a quick plug-in as well that we're got F2 coming up this week as well. Which is straight after Division 6. So pressure's on me to have be in happy mode by.
You've got to recover, because I think the Division 6 race will probably finish about sort of 8:45, and then you've got a 9:15. Sorry, half an hour before the F2 starts, and you've got to have a nice commentary on from Sean as well. So yeah, if you're interested in F2, definitely get in, because it's always great to have Sean commentating on you, as well as I've known from the past as well. Even when it goes wrong. Well, when it goes wrong and Sean's commentating on, you've got a problem, because he's gonna take the he's gonna go with it and make a laugh out of you, as I found out as well on many occasions. But yeah, just definitely it's a good experience. Like I said, I don't myself. I'm not a fan of racing the F2 cars, but I think like I said, I'm enjoying it for a bit of fun, and so that you can watch me spin, of course. So that's the entertainment for you. That's why I'm trying to cheer you up, basically. If you have a bad race, that's there. You've got me there to entertain you afterwards. So,
what a nice man.
There you go. That's the only reason I'm doing it. But yeah. So like I said, the F2, like I said, starting it's 9:15 on the Tuesdays now, isn't it? So yeah, like I said, it was on Saturdays, but unfortunately, it's just I think it was a bit inconvenient time for people to turn up. So yeah, hopefully more people will put on a good show for the Tuesday season. But yeah, after that, obviously we've got like I said, we've got Canada coming up, Montreal. So that'll be an interesting one. We'll talk about that obviously in the next podcast when we've done a bit of recap and seen all the fantastic races as well. But the next step, we did talk about. You touched on it a little bit just a minute ago. Was Lewis Hamilton and what happened again. I know we keep going back to it, but the Abu Dhabi race with the safety car sort of situation. We've had some news come out recently about the changes now to the rules. The FIA have clarified the rules. They've basically rewritten them, which supposedly is good. So basically, the new rule is, the new change to the rule is that now that I think it was defined in the rules as cars must overtake the safety car, or all cars, or the lapped cars must overtake the safety car. I think it was how it was written before. What it says now, what the change of the rule is now, is that all lapped cars must overtake the safety car. So it basically, there was that sort of grey area, wasn't there? I think in the rules in Abu Dhabi where it said that lapped cars must overtake the safety car, but it didn't say all lapped cars. So that's why I think they got away with it. Or that's what people were saying, obviously in that scenario. But obviously now with this rule change, all lapped cars will have to overtake before the racing can actually resume. So yeah, I mean, would have been nice if that happened in Abu Dhabi, or was available in Abu Dhabi. But what's your thoughts on this rule change now? Basically, the FIA admitting fault for that final race.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? How one word can completely change Formula One. I think that's why we love it, don't we? Because it's like with regulations and things like that. It's like it's double diffuser and stuff like that. Because there's such a it's just the brain power of all these people, isn't it? And like how like technically they can get around rules, and even with the sporting code as well, they pinpoint one word and and then they just go along with that. I must admit, when they said any cars, I didn't even fathom that would cause a problem, because I think that's been the wording for such a long time that
Yeah, exactly.
that I don't think anyone's even like thought about it. So, because I don't think that rule has been changed in quite a number of years. I
don't believe so. No,
it's never.
no.
I don't think it's ever come up, has it? It's incredible to. It's absolutely incredible that that it all happened the way it did. Yeah, I've said on the podcast before. I say again, I'm not taking anything away from Verstappen. He deserved to be a champ, and yeah,
100%.
overall, he does deserve to be a champion. I just didn't like the way it went down, but yeah, hopefully we can draw a line under this now and move on, because the new season is coming up in in the weekend, which is a subject that we're going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, I think
it would have gone by the time this comes out. By the way, though, it would have been it'll be there. It'll be out the day after the race.
Gosh, this confuses me. This does. I'm not. I can't be a week in front. But we're over the years we've had controversial Formula One endings. Schumacher and Hill '94, Villeneuve and Schumacher '97. The list can go on, can it? Really, forever and a day. So
yeah.
That's just the way Formula One is, really, isn't it?
And of course, like you said on there, I think obviously throughout the seasons rules do change anyway. I mean, they have to in some cases, and I think again this rule change that we've just said is also a necessary rule change because of the controversy around why it got changed, why it needed to be changed. But yeah, I'd say obviously anything like that where clarification can be made, so that obviously that sort of thing, anything like that, or any other sort of situation that would impact points, really, not just a race result, but drivers' points individually, but also constructors' points, because there's so many millions of pounds that are based on just getting 1 point in jumping over one constructor in the standings, that if there's a little loophole in the rule where it doesn't come into effect because of this, or it does come into effect because of this, then that's basically, it could cost teams, it could cost drivers position seats even as well, that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean that's a bit drastic, but I mean that potentially could be something that might be an impact based on something like that. But yeah, I see more if that clarification sort of thing for not just that rule, not the safety car rule, but all rules really, to make sure that there is no sort of escape room or sort of alternative options within the rules, so there's no sort of other meaning to it. Is really good, because obviously then that way we can get motor racing, like Massey said, which is what we want to see. And yeah, we can actually have a bit more clear set on what the drivers can and can't do. We'll know what's going to happen a little bit more. Like, for example, in this situation, if the safety car came out, we'd know that all lapped cars would have to overtake, rather than we had that confusing team radios between the teams that were being allowed to unlap themselves, and some team radios that of the cars that weren't being allowed to unlap themselves, and it just they were coming across even on the TV, on the broadcast, that and it was confusing, because we were like, well, hang on, lap cars are not allowed to overtake originally, and now some of them are allowed to overtake, and they've been on the team radio saying that, well, this number can overtake. So I think obviously clarifying that, so that now everybody needs, if you're lapped, you basically go through, makes it so much simpler, so much easier for spectators as well. So we'll know what's going on, and then also for obviously the race director actually managing the race as well, and that sort of thing, or race directors in this case now in Formula One. But can't remember their names. Sorry. So, there's Nick
I'm
and
sure we will
Eduardo,
by
I
the end
think
of
there
the
is.
season.
But yeah, so I mean, like I said, I think it's, like I said, clarifying it overall, and doing that sort of thing is good for the overall racing for F1. And like I said, at the end of the day, we're Formula One fans because we like the actual racing. So long as the racing's there, we'll be okay. So that's good. Yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else you want to throw in there on that one, but yeah, well, we can move on if you like.
Yeah, to us, I mean, don't get me wrong. Hang on.
Oh, he's fallen over. He almost disappeared off the screen again.
I mean, yeah, it's still. To us, I was more upset about how my non-Formula One mates was like commented about, and how they found it. Yeah, just how it was really, and they kind of made a joke about it, because I've always made a joke about, like, yeah, I love football, but I never got like super serious into it, and I always just make a joke about how they got upset about a dodgy penalty and stuff like that. So yeah, it was kind of like back at me. So like, oh, touche. Anyway, but
yeah, I think it basically looks more like the FIA actually admitting fault, which in some cases I would say they needed to do, because it's now sort of mended it, repaired it, so that now going forward, everyone knows the situation, which is good. But at the same time, it does sort of tarnish the sport a little bit. And like you said, well, it tarnished the sport on the day anyway, when we had that incident, and like I said, new Formula One fans, people who hadn't watched Formula One before, like you just said, were sort of taking the mickey out of it because of what happened. But yeah, like I said, hopefully going forward, that sort of thing, well, it should be resolved now into that situation anyway. So yeah.
Well, hopefully,
until something else comes along, yeah. So it says any cars can unlap themselves. So then we'll have the leader just overtake the safety car and go round another lap, and then he's unlapped himself, and then he's won by a lap.
You know what? Because Formula One is such a fickle and sometimes quite pathetic with how they like handle things. I could see something like that happening.
There we go. Right. Well, who do we want to win the championship? Right. We'll just tap up Lewis Hamilton. Just give him a call and just say, "Excuse me, mate. We've got a loophole in the rules already for you. So for next season."
I hope I'm his fashion designer for next season. I'd love to wear some of his threads.
Yeah,
blinging.
I think the fashion designer designs the clothes for him to wear, not for the fashion designer to wear.
Well, could I be on the catwalk then?
Yeah, we could just put you on a catwalk on your own anyway. It doesn't matter.
You know, I love a good catwalk.
There we go then. Well, that's what Sean does in his spare time. So his hobbies. But yeah, well, I've got another quick couple of points. Sorry, get my words out, and then we'll crack on to obviously what's coming up with what's happened in. Well, we don't know what's happened exactly, but we're coming up to the preview of Bahrain and things like that as well. So very quick one as well. There was rumours as well. I think there was reports as well that Mazepin had a legal threat filed with F1 or with Haas, I think it was, because of the situation with how they removed him from his seat and things like that as well. And obviously Magnussen's now stepping into the Haas seat, into that empty seat. I believe, I don't know if you know any more details about it, but I believe that it's been thrown out rather than, it's not been dropped, but I think it's been thrown out.
Yeah, that's why I heard. Wasn't it by the sport of arbitration?
Arbitration of sport.
Arbitration.
Yeah, that one. The
Yeah,
Court of Arbitration for Sport. Yeah,
that's the one. These big
yeah.
words, gosh. I think that's the case,
Um,
or is it? I don't, because there's so much going on with the world of sport and all the issues that is going on surrounding Russian athletes and things like that. I'm thinking of getting my wires crossed, so that may be the wrong
yeah.
story. But yeah,
No, I think I saw somewhere as well that it was because actually I believe the Mazepin family, not the family, but obviously the companies and that have actually been sanctioned in the UK as well. So as well as plenty of other sort of Russian sort of billionaires and things like that, if they've got ties to Putin, which I think pretty much everybody does. But anyway, so I think they've actually been sanctioned, which means that the legal case can't stand. So I think Haas have got away with that one, and they can sort of move on. Obviously, they're still looking for a sort of title sponsor as well now. So if you've got anything
Rich energy.
oh, okay. I was going to say if you've got anything to put on the car that you could sponsor them yourself, but we want Rich Energy to come back, do we? So that'll be interesting. Yeah, okay. I saw somewhere that he was. What was he doing? He was doing. I think he was doing something to do with sponsoring a football club as well, up in the north. But God knows what William Story's up to in these days. He's all over the place. But yeah, I don't think he's going to do anything good for the sport for Haas anyway. So, especially now that they're in need of money more than anything now. And and then if Rich Energy comes back saying, "Oh, I've got these many millions," and doesn't show up again with his money, so yeah, hopefully he doesn't come back. He did say years ago he was still in talks to sponsor another team, wasn't he? But I think that was all made up stuff as well. So yeah, never mind. We'll move on from that. But and the next little bit was porpoising.
Oh, porpoising.
Yes, do you know what that is?
It's where a car goes up and down.
It is, yeah. So obviously
not hydraulics, though.
Well, yeah, thankfully not. We've seen in the testing and things like that. Obviously, when at speed, it's usually at high speed rather than obviously at low speed or in the corners, that sort of thing. But we've seen on the straights and things like that the cars are actually sort of bouncing up and down on the suspension, and obviously that's due to the new design of the cars, the new regulations and things that have made that change. Yeah, it's quite odd because I don't know if does it lose time or does it gain time. I don't know what the sort of difference is or what the reasoning behind it is.
I think it's like the ground effect that is like pushing the car down, and then something's raising it up, kind of thing. I presume that's the air. I don't know. That's as technical as I get. You know.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, I think it makes sense because literally, the downfall side of things is decided to make the car go down, and there's something underneath that's pushing it up. So yeah, that makes sense. To be fair, Sean. Yeah, good stuff.
Watch out, Adrian Newey. I'm coming.
Adrian's out of a job now.
Yep.
Well, speaking of well, not out of a job, but speaking of that as well, I think well, from what I saw as well online, was that Alpine have figured out a way to switch it on and off this porpoising thing, apparently. So I saw it was I can't remember, it was one of it was hang on one sec, I can literally I'll grab it here. Yeah, so the sporting director of Alpine has basically said that they've basically sort of solved how to switch it off on and off. Sorry, so they can put it back on as well. It's not just like a fix that they're doing or anything like that. It's something that they can literally control. I'm guessing in the car or on the pit wall even as well.
Why would
But
they want to switch it back on? Do you know that? Does it go on? By the way, he's
again,
not reading an article, but that's not our secret. We know everything.
but I am actually, because I'm trying to get the gist of what I was going to say, because I had it written down, but I've forgotten the gist of it. So they're not what he said. The sporting director is Alan Permane
Oh, Alan Permane,
of
hero.
Alpine. Yeah, do you
He's
know
been
him?
there for years. Yeah,
Oh, good stuff. That's right.
he's lived
I thought
there
you knew him
since.
personally. I was like, yeah, Alan. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know
I
Alan.
know Alan. Alan, it's Steve. Oh,
Alan.
Steve.
Yeah, wrong Alan, different one. But yeah, so basically, he was saying that they're not sure whether there's actually a benefit in terms of speed or not, or so they can't tell if there's actually anything good or bad about it. The only problem is that apparently at some points in the testing, Alonso, obviously in Alpine, has said that it was too difficult to drive with the porpoising thing actually happening. So obviously that's a negative. But I mean, if it loses them speed to then turn it off, for example, then there might be scenarios where it's actually effective for them to keep it on. But we'll have to see it. I think there's probably ways. If Alpine have figured it out, there's probably ways that they can obviously have more control over it and have it on or off depending on what they need. But yeah, it's just quite interesting to see. Obviously, we saw it. Obviously, we saw the videos and things like that of it in testing. I think a few TikToks and memes have come out of it about it, with especially with Sonoda. So, so yeah, it's been good. It's been interesting to see as well. Obviously, it is a new part of the new regulation change. Obviously, the way the cars are set up is causing it to happen. But like I said, if Alpine have figured out a way of dealing with it, then potentially they might have an advantage. We don't know. We'll have to find out, of course, in the first race, which is coming up. But speaking of that, it ties in nicely with the last topic, basically, the main topic. Is the Bahrain Grand Prix, the start of the 2022 season. It's going to be, well, it's obviously, it's probably finished by now, because this will come out on Monday. So yeah, congratulations to the winner. Unfortunate for the people who didn't win. But yeah, well done, Leclerc. Did you say?
Yes.
Okay, that's a bold prediction. Obviously, we did the predictions last week in podcast number 5, where we predicted our the constructors sort of line up in terms of the top 10, well, all 10 constructors, and then the top 5 drivers that we thought were going to finish the season, in what order as well. So yeah, go back and have a look at that one. It's a really good podcast, that one. Very entertaining, because Sean's predictions are all over the place, as are mine, to be fair. So yeah, but yeah.
Anyway, just going back to the predictions a minute. I'm not going to spoil
you want to change all of them, do you?
Yeah, I do. No, I was watching another. How dare I watch another podcast? But I was watching it on the way home, and someone's got the same opinion about Haas as you do, Alex. So I reckon you've nailed the Haas thing right on the money, mind. Anyway,
well, it depends. Maybe we're both completely wrong.
Yeah, maybe I'm right. Gosh, God forbid.
Yeah, like I said, I'm keen for Haas to do well, and like I said, it's completely flipped on its head, to be fair, because last season, obviously with the backing of where they were sort of supported from money wise, financially, wasn't that keen on them, to be fair. But yeah, obviously now with obviously a new sponsor probably coming in, but also with K-Mag coming back in as well, the beautiful K-Mag.
Yes.
Then and obviously Mick still sticking around. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what that lineup can offer. To be fair, so will be good. But yeah, I'm hoping they'll be back to sort of the original Haas days when they were sort of competing for the points, but unfortunately they decided to mess up a few pit stops here and there. Or Grosjean decided to find a wall, but
All three.
all 3, yeah. But yeah. So anyway, we'll go back to sort of our sort of preview, but we'll sort of do a little bit about Bahrain as well. So we'll talk about the circuit first as well. We'll start off with the circuit. Obviously, it's a night race. What's your thoughts on Bahrain as a racing track? Again, we could talk about it in the game as well in terms of you racing it. What do you think about the actual F1 as well around there?
And since it's become a night race, it's become a really good Grand Prix to watch. It's made it come alive. I think during the day there was some okay races, but not some great races. I think it's the hottest race in history, isn't it? 2005, wasn't it? Where it was it like 36 degrees or something like that? I remember
Might be more than that.
It might have been. It was crazy, crazy hot, and I just remember Mark Webber and his Williams throwing a bottle of like almost a bottle of water out of his cockpit. I was like, I couldn't believe that, but because he like splashed it on his
All
face.
that extra weight. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. A mechanic handed him a bottle of water. He just like dashed it on himself and then like flung it back out. I was like, blimey, I liked Mark
That's
Webber.
good for a pit stop. Just pour it on your head and that's it.
It was absolutely incredible. I think, and now I just remember that race because it was a really good race as well. 2005, because I think it was when Ferrari brought their new car, didn't they? Because they had an appalling start to the season. It was quick, but unfortunately, it was very fragile. Unfortunately, I think Schumacher retired, didn't they, in the end after hunting down Alonso. But I'm contradicting myself now, I know, because I said that it's only night races that are good. But 2005 was all right. 2014, obviously, that's the best race that we can all remember, isn't it? Where Hamilton and Rosberg was just an incredible battle.
Yeah, that was very good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That one sort of sticks in the mind. I was just going to say, personally, when I'm racing it on the game, that sort of thing, it's not. I don't like it that much. I really, like I said, what you said earlier as well. I really enjoy watching the F1 races there. I think having it at night obviously adds that extra sort of spectacle sort of thing. But I think the layout of the track and the actual setup of it means that even with the old regulations, obviously with these new regulations this year, of course, we're going to have so many overtakes that we're not going to keep our eyes on what's going on, really. But supposedly, with the old regulations, even I think the layout of the track promoted overtaking. It really provided close racing with the DRS zones and things like that as well. Sorry, voice crack, tying it all in. But but yeah. So like I said, I think I'm remembering back as well. Obviously, the not just the Bahrain Grand Prix, but like the Sakir Grand Prix and things like that, where we had the different layouts and whatnot on the short layouts and other things as well. I think there's so many opportunities with that track. Obviously, not just on the original layout, but on the current layout, but with other opportunities as well that we've had around there. So I really like Bahrain. I think having it on the calendar, it's nice. It's interesting to have it as the first race. Obviously, Australia used to be it was usually the first race, but I think it's been moved to round 3, if I'm correct, or round 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's right at the beginning still, but for some reason it's not the starting race anymore, which is a bit of a shame because, like I said, it was quite nice to sort of start across the world in Melbourne. But yeah, my opinion of Bahrain, I don't like racing it, but I enjoy watching it definitely.
Would you prefer the Odo layout then, the 2010 one?
I can't remember that old layout.
Oh gosh, I'm not sure if anyone ever played the F1 2010 game, but my gosh, because I think that it was the endurance layout where there was like 20 odd turns and it took like almost 2 minutes per lap. It was rubbish.
Sounds alright.
Sounds
great.
It was awful, and it was out of 2010. I remember that season was brilliant. Bahrain, the opening race, was one of the worst races you'll ever see because it was horrific. And it's quite bad for me to say that.
So yeah, Sean's given his disdain, his downvote.
Yeah, the current track's an upvote, but the 2010 version is a downvote. If you want to see that track, I'm sure it's on like YouTube and stuff like that. But yeah,
that's all right. Well, you've given your professional opinion on it, so I don't need to go and watch it now. So that's fine. But yeah, I think. Well, I'm looking forward to obviously the new season, and I think obviously there'll be a few sort of mix-ups with the grid, with the actual performance of the cars, obviously around Bahrain for the first race. Obviously, everyone's sort of they're not showing their hand, put it that way. Obviously, in the testing side of things that's going on around Bahrain, or has been going on around Bahrain. Yeah, obviously first race of the season is when you've got to put it to practice and literally go for it. And I think we'll see a few sort of reliability issues potentially.
Who do you reckon?
Yeah, I think with such a big regulation change, I think we'll see a few sort of failures into that over some of the cars. Obviously, I think just because of the regulation changing the way obviously the teams have had to sort of adapt to it. Or obviously they've had a bit of time to adapt to it because they obviously got pushed back a year, didn't it, because of the COVID situation originally. But yeah, I think they'll have some sort of small issues as well. We've seen in the testing, like I said, Mercedes have come out saying that there's a few issues that they need to fix. Whether they'll have them fixed, obviously, for the race, or whether they had them fixed for the race now. Sorry, I should say. Obviously, it happened yesterday, and Leclerc won. So, yeah, we shall see, obviously. But yeah, I'm optimistic of obviously the way that the whole style of the new cars is to promote overtaking, so that it's easy to keep that gap low. Potentially, we'll see all 20 cars in a DRS train, and that will be just as horrible, really. But
it would be edge of the seat stuff, though, wouldn't it?
well, yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting, especially when Haas are up there, of course, in the points.
Oh yes.
So, but yeah, yeah, we'll have to see, obviously, how it goes. Oh, we will have seen how it goes, obviously, but yeah, I'd really hope, I really hope that it's going to be an exciting season, and it goes down to the wire again, to be honest, because as much as I didn't want Max to win it and I wanted Lewis to win it, obviously, it was an entertaining season throughout, wasn't it? So last season, so I think maybe with the changes as well, and obviously with our predictions as well that we said, I think the grid is going to be a bit closer. I think. I hope so. I hope obviously nobody's got it massively wrong, so that they just drop right to the back and that's it, sort of thing. But I hope that the midfields, it's getting a bit windy over there. So,
is that me? I'm so
yeah.
sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, anyway, I don't know why it's getting all windy over on your end. So,
you're making me breathe heavy, Alex, from this excitement.
oh sorry. But anyway, sorry about that, Sean. But yeah, well, right. Speaking of excitement, obviously, I'm hoping that it's going to be literally a much more exciting season, closer racing, like I said, throughout all the constructors. So even where we had the drivers sort of, or the teams sort of further back, I'm hoping that they can they can come a bit closer. Oh, the wind's stopped now. Can I hear you though? Can you say anything? There we go. Yeah, I can still hear you. So that's good. Yes, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the bottom teams, like so the last season, be a bit closer to the middle. But then I think throughout the middle as well, it's going to be even tighter as well. And then and the gap to the top two have sort of come down a bit as well. So the McLarens and the Ferraris will be in there thereabouts as well, and potentially other teams as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. Like I said, all I'm praying for is entertaining races. Really, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we watch F1 for, because it is an entertaining sport, and well, that's why most people watch sport anyway, whatever sport. But like I said, that's why we're all F1 fans as well. So yeah, so regardless, I'm just hoping it's a good race, and I'm hoping there's no sassy massies in the race director box that are going to ruin the races as well. So hopefully all the any decisions that are made are all spot on and are all good.
I must admit, I think we was talking to Jake Wilson, weren't we, a couple of nights ago, about the new season starting. And one thing that he brought up, which I do definitely agree with, I'm going to miss the FIA radio, because that was a highlight for me, which kind of shows how shallow I am of a person with an F1 fan. I love the radios so much, more than the actual racing itself. Well, no, that's a lie. But I absolutely love the sassy bassy radio airwave. It was brilliant. So I am going to miss that, I think.
It was funny. It was funny as well. Obviously, yeah. The way that he sort of comes back and just is very blunt with what his replies and that sort of thing. But I think overall, and again, it tied in with the point earlier about what happened in Abu Dhabi as well, is that it will stop sort of influencing on decisions as well, and I think that's the main thing. That's the main thing. Obviously, in terms of what we need to sort out in Formula One is just consistency in terms of the not incidents, but in terms of the dealing with issues and that on track, that
the outcomes kind of thing
need to be the outcomes of penalties, that sort of stuff as well, that needs to be the same throughout the season, regardless, sort of thing. So yeah, we'll see obviously how it goes. When we will have seen the first race. Hopefully, no incidents happen and everybody got through absolutely perfectly, and the race directors didn't have to do anything.
But we want a bit of action, don't we? We love
oh,
a bit
you
of
want
drama.
lots of controversy and all that stuff, do you? Okay, right, we'll get Massey back. Bring him
Yes.
hashtag bring Massey back.
Maybe not that far. Gosh.
Okay, no, so well, yeah, hashtag not that far then. Okay, somebody else. But yeah, so I said we'll have more to talk about obviously once the race is finished. But unfortunately, we won't to bring that to you in this podcast, but maybe the next one. Yeah, so I mean, we've done our sort of predictions and what we think of the drivers throughout the season. But do you have any sort of obviously you seem to think Leclerc's going to win, but do you have any other sort of predictions on how a couple of drivers might do or teams might do, that sort of thing?
I'm a little concerned by the Williams team. I don't know why. I know that during the season they'll pick it up, but I feel like they're on the back foot at the moment. Mainly because they had a really weird problem, didn't they, in the second to last day of testing, didn't they, where their brakes were on fire and the Latifi missed a lot of action. So I'm a little worried by the Williams team. Unfortunately,
well, they just have to do what they did with Mark Webber in 2005 and just pour some water on it when he pitted.
Yeah, exactly. That was the problem. They need good old Sam Michael back. Yeah, I'm a little worried by the Williams team. Yeah, I've mentioned Ferrari a lot of times. I think Ferrari have got a very good car. Very good car. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be between Ferrari and Red Bull at the moment. Mercedes. I think I've fallen into a trap like I have every year, but I think Mercedes are beyond the 8 ball. I think they're probably going to be the third best car in Bahrain. And I am expecting, even though Mercedes have probably got the third best car, I'm still expecting a Hamilton masterclass, just because he can pull that. He can just do things with an F1 car that mere mortals just can't sometimes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm still expecting something amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say on that, I was some of the wins that he got last season, even though I think even at most points of last season, maybe not towards the end, but at most points at the beginning of the season to the middle of the season, the wins that he got where he was competing in a lesser car to the Red Bull, were pretty good achievements, to be fair, competing against likes of Max Verstappen, who was in a bit of a better car. But like you said, I think I'm a bit worried about Mercedes. Obviously, I want Mercedes to do well because of Lewis, but yeah. So I'm hoping that it is all just mind games and they're just we haven't bothered turning the engine up, sort of thing, just yet, or turning the engine on even. So
they've been freewheeling it.
They're just pedaling it around.
They've just been using the electric part of the ERS.
That's it, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe they just not used any of the ERS at all ever. So
Formula Wii, love it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm hoping. Yeah, like I said, a bit concerned about Mercedes. I think Red Bull will dominate, or I think Red Bull will probably win, or a Red Bull will probably win, or have won. Sorry, I keep thinking about it because I'm guessing I'm guessing it's already finished, unless it's been a long red flag and we're still waiting for the restart.
Oh gosh, that is the longest race in history. Wow.
Well, we thought the Belgian race last season was going to go into the next day, didn't we? At one point, because it was about 6 hours or something, wasn't it? We were waiting for the race to start. But yeah, anyway, so so I think I'm pretty confident that Max will probably win the Bahrain race if he hasn't already. And then, like I said, I'm really hoping that Haas have got some good developments onto that car, that they can at least get into the points, or one car into the points even for the first race would be good stuff indeed. And then we'll see how it goes. But it'll be interesting to see how Zhu does as well in his first F1 race. So that'll be good stuff indeed.
Oh, Zhou Guan Yu. I was like, who's Zhu?
Zhu.
I was like, who's that?
The new one.
Yeah,
the rookie of the season.
Well, we found out that Ted found out that his name is Zhou Guan Yu, isn't it? Because in China they have their family name first, don't they? So I think he's Zhou Guan Yu, isn't he? I don't know. That's the random stuff I'm a part of. I love Ted. He's amazing.
Rightio. Well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we'll see how he does. Obviously, well, we would have seen how he does as well. But yeah, I'm hoping that he's at least putting a good performance. I don't think they'll, like I said, the Alfa Romeo car will be able to compete for the points, but at least have a consistent race that sort of he can sort of build on throughout the rest of the season as well. But yeah, so yeah, well, congratulations to the winner of the first race of the 2022 season in Bahrain.
Well done, Carlos.
Fantastic race. Sorry?
Well done, Carlos. Wait,
Carlos.
no, Charles.
You changed your tune there.
At least the car's red.
Well, there you go then. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, well done to whoever won, and of course, and obviously we'll do a bit of recap as well. Add it into the next podcast as well when we've got a bit more information that we've actually seen the race. It'll be good. Because yeah, like I said, we're recording this a bit ahead of time, so yeah, we'll be out. Well, the podcast will be out after the race, but we're recording it before the races or before the race weekend even as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how qualifying goes on Saturday as well. That'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll take it from there. I think unless there's anything else you want to throw into the ring for now. Well, he's thinking.
Nope. No, I got nothing now.
No, that's it. Well, yeah, we'll cap it off there then. So yeah, thanks very much for watching us once again, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and like I said, we'll be back next week with another fantastic In the Cockpit podcast as well. So yeah, we'll have some more interesting bits and pieces to discuss, and hopefully we'll have another guest on as well. We shall see. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, we'll see you in 1 week.
Ciao for now.